What's up, guys? Welcome back to the How We Feel podcast. Today's guest is someone who's been behind the scenes shaping how the world sees some of your biggest names in rock. She's a founder of For the Win Media, a New York-based publicity and marketing firm with over 25 years in the industry. She's been a part of campaigns connected with bands like Nickelback, Slipknot, Papa Roach, and so many more. The list goes on and on and on. She's helping the ways, artists connect with the fans. So today's guest, welcome, Jamie Roberts.
Thanks for having me. It's nice to see you guys.
Yeah, so
Same.
Thank you so much for doing this. We appreciate your time.
Really excited. Yeah, this is super cool. Thanks.
Yeah, excited to hear from you. Lots of stories, I'm sure. So let's start early career. Take us back to the beginnings. What was your first real entry point to the music industry and kind of what drew you in?
I always knew I wanted to do it. Ever since I was a kid, there was this really cheesy movie in the early 80s called The Idol Maker. It was Peter Gallagher, one of his first movies. And it was about this guy from Brooklyn that was the behind the scenes guy that made people stars. And I thought that was the coolest thing ever. Because I didn't want to be a musician, but I loved music.
That is neat.
Yeah, I mean, and that, you don't think that's a career until you see someone else do it. So,
Sure.
yeah, so since then, since I was 13 years old, I had, birthday cakes with a record on it, all of that. I knew I was going to be in music.
What were the early artists that influenced you back then? Like on that, that birthday cake, what was the favorites back then?
It wasn't so much particular artist. I mean, I was a big fan of New Wave back then. Depeche Mode, Duran Duran, The Cure, all of that with my growing up stuff.
I love Duran Duran. So what was your first entry point into actually working in the music industry?
Well, when I was in college, I actually picked my college for the college radio station because they were the number 2 station in the country the year before.
Wow.
And it was SUNY Albany. And my mother wanted me to go to school in New York, and I wanted to also. I didn't want to be too far away.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, growing up on Long Island, So when I was in college, I knew I had to do an internship. So I would look in the Village Voice when I would come home to see if there were any internships or music jobs or anything. And there was an ad in the back of the Village Voice, which was the weekly alternative newspaper here.
I remember that from watching something with Kiss, but that's how they picked up Ace Frehley from Kiss was in the Village Voice.
Really?
So that's how I always remember hearing that. Yeah, totally. There's a story about that somewhere in one of their documentaries, but it was something like that, how they answered finding him, and it was loud, aggressive guitar player from wherever it was, Queens back then or something like that. But I always remember that from yeah.
Oh, wow.
Thought that was neat.
I live in Queens now. So there was an ad and it said, do you like hip hop? Do you like alternative rock? Fax your resume. All it said. And I was like, why not? I'll fax my resume. I had been promotions director at the radio station and I was writing for one of the music magazines in Albany. So I faxed my resume and I got a call the next day from Set to Run PR. Now, they were huge back in the day. They worked with the Beastie Boys, Public Enemy, Ice Cube,
Wow.
Tribe Called Quest, and then on the alt side, The Cure, bunch of other artists. And I took an internship there. So every time I was home from school, I would go into Manhattan and I would spend the day interning for them.
That is very neat. Now, were your parents musical too? Kind of in your upbringing, did they play music around the house? Was that something you just took your own liking to?
My dad was into Latin jazz. And he loved Buena Vista Social Club, Walter Carlos, a lot of the Latin stuff. And he listened to it, but my mom wasn't really into music. And my parents actually asked me when I was going to get a new job up till I was like 40. So,
Makes sense.
So what was the first sort of duties on that internship? What did you start out doing?
Back in the day, because I'm old, and that was in the late 80s, early 90s, we would clip things. We would get clippings from newspapers from the service, and we would paste them on a piece of paper, and it was called a paste up. And that's what you would do. You'd copy it and send it in like a whole book of clips to clients. Let me just shut this.
Oh, no worries.
I'll have to hear the lawnmowers outside. And I would do paste ups, and then I would file the originals. I would take phone calls sometimes if one of the publicists wanted to go out to lunch. Just really menial stuff. But when I was photocopying, I looked at the stuff I was photocopying so I could learn.
And those would be like old press clippings then that you guys had gathered for the client. So that was the early way of tracking that essentially for them and showing the proof of here's what we've got going on. Okay. Wow. That is interesting.
You get a book of paste ups every month.
Sure. That is pretty neat.
What was the first moment you realized? What was the first moment you realized like I can actually make a career out of this? And
I always knew I could because of that movie.
Yeah.
But I
believing
didn't really
is half the
know
battle.
what a publicist did until I had that internship.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
I was like, I can do this. This is right in my wheelhouse. And I was like a super efficient intern. I was like the nerdiest nerd, like always getting there early and doing, all the work and all kinds of stuff. And actually, since then, every job I've ever had, I was referred by somebody that worked at that company.
Seriously.
Wow.
That's pretty cool. So that just goes to show you did a great job.
Well, it just goes to show you that hard work pays off sometimes.
That's right. Definitely.
Yeah.
So you've worked with mega artists. What was the first like holy shit moment where you were like, am I like really am I involved with these guys right now?
The first holy shit moment was actually at that internship. We did a press conference for Public Enemy for the song by the Time I Get to Arizona. Mm-hmm. And I had to go and give Chuck something, and I was like, because I was a big hip hop fan. I still am.
Sure. That's very neat too to get to do that. And being around the city, that's a great place to kind of jump in, of all places to be from too, to get a start, back in those times or even to now, is you can't almost beat that as well for timing.
No, it's the best place to cut your teeth.
Island, so I was super close to the city. We would always go like on school trips to Manhattan. So
very cool. Yeah, that is neat.
What was so take us through a list of some of the biggest clients. Like I know Nickelback, I saw Slipknot, the list was insane.
Well,
so
Nickelback was interesting because it was an exercise in how you work a band that people love to hate.
Yeah.
And the way you do it is you don't give them a chance to give their opinion. So I would book them on television appearances because there was no room for opinions there.
Sure. It was just putting them in front of the people and letting that be exposure.
And all we needed to do was put them in front of people because that's who it was for, the people, not the critics.
Yeah. That's true. That's a great point too. The Roadrunner Records era too, just in general. So many incredible bands flourished and, are still legacy acts and things like that from there.
Well,
so
it was wild when I went there.
Yeah.
When I went to Roadrunner, I had been at Tom Zutaut's label called The Enclave.
Wow.
And I was actually supposed to tour manage Belle and Sebastian before we went out of business. And I was like, I don't think I want to do that.
Yeah. I just tuned into some kind of a stream recently with Tom and saw him talking on there and stuff like that, but legendary guy as well.
Man,
That's
and really kind. So,
Yeah.
I got that job because the woman that ran Set to Run was the head of A&R at that label.
Okay. Wow.
And she, I asked her to meet me for lunch to give me advice for my career. And she met me for lunch and she said, here's my advice for your career. Come work for me. I hate my assistant.
Wow. So it's one of those time and place things that really works out too, asking advice and being in the right place.
Also being happy for someone genuinely that they got a new job, because she had just been hired there, and I congratulated her and asked for advice, and she scared the hell out of me when I was an intern. Like, she would go in with an entourage, and I was like in the corner. But she's actually one of my close friends now. So
No, that's really cool. Yeah.
Such a cool story.
That is neat.
And the Nickelback thing, the moment where I knew I really understood them, I went up to Vancouver when they were making, I think it was All the Right Reasons, and we were talking about press, and someone from Spin called me on my cell phone. And I answered and I said, well, why should I send you the record? You already know what you're going to write about it. If you're going to belittle them, go buy it yourself.
Yeah, that's true though.
And the band were laughing and high-fiving each other, and I was like, okay, now I know I'm all right.
Yeah, that's awesome. That is really cool.
And working Slipknot in the beginning, all I ever got was, Insane Clown Posse. And I was like, no, you have to listen to the music. You can't just look at one guy from the band.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's one clown.
Oh, that's a great point too. Yeah, and trying to break something like that, I can only imagine back in those days, in that era, the Ozfest era, being involved with things like that too is just really, really cool. Yeah, I mean, how was that stuff?
I went with Slipknot to their first Ozfest show in West Palm Beach.
Wow.
And it was wild walking around there, and I went and got a henna tattoo of the Tribal S.
Did you? Yeah.
And I showed them, and I go, hey, look. And they were like, get a real one. And I said, when your album goes platinum.
Yeah, right. And you were like, oh shit,
I avoided them once the album went platinum.
Yeah, I was going to say, where's the tattoo?
Yeah.
Yeah, there is no tattoo. But yeah, I was with them when they won their Grammy.
Wow, that is such a cool thing.
That was the last year I was with them.
Sure. Which is insane to see a band, especially like that you would think people would, not ever take as seriously, go to the Grammys. That's next level. That's really, really cool.
Yeah, that means so much for metal.
There were 9 guys, and Ross Robinson was with us. And when you win a Grammy, you go backstage and do this circuit of press. And it was like we had like 1 million people with us. So I had to get one of my friends to go in the back to make sure everybody stayed with us.
To herd the cattle.
Circus, keep the circus moving.
Yeah,
Literally.
Keep the circus moving probably should have been the tagline for my entire career.
Your slogan? Yeah.
I like that.
But yeah, I mean, getting people to take them seriously and saying, okay, you're saying Insane Clown Posse, but look at the lyrics to this song. There are words in this song where kids might have to look them up.
Yeah.
And I said, this is not that. You just have to listen. And after fighting it, we finally got them to listen, and they understood.
Well, of course, and build that legendary fan base now, that still reigns as the top band.
What year was that? Are we talking like Slipknot Iowa days or after that? Or
Slipknot self-titled. I worked. I didn't work Iowa. I left for a couple of years, and then I came back for Volume 3.
Yeah.
I'm actually glad I didn't work Iowa. It's not my favorite of theirs. The debut I could listen to 800 times over.
Yeah.
That's
I still remember
perfect
first
rock.
getting that and hearing it, and I was like, I've never heard anything like this before as a kid. It changed my metal life for sure. So
100%.
yeah,
Yeah,
that
they
was
were total innovators. So
that's really neat.
Who were some of your favorites to work with?
Motley Crue, actually. Motley Crue was fun to work with because I hit them at when they were like adults and they were past the tree, and the
Yeah.
backstage was just them texting their wives on their phones. Like that was more my
Not the insanity.
Yeah.
but they were, I mean, Nikki was cool to work with, interesting guy.
Wow.
Tommy Lee is my favorite person in the world to work with.
That's
You
neat.
do his solo stuff too, I saw, right?
Yeah, I've done his solo stuff, and I do his personal stuff now. Like if people are looking for stuff about him,
Yeah.
they hit me up. So
That's neat.
it's like an honor to do because he was just so sweet. And it was funny because when I went and took the job at Better Noise Music, the head of the company told me I was going to have a problem with Tommy because he never did anything that they wanted him to do.
That's funny.
Standard.
Rock
But I
star.
said, okay, there's my challenge. Tommy's going to be my buddy. And he is still to this day.
Well, if Tommy ever wants to come on the How We Feel podcast,
No, that's
send him our way.
No, that
He'd
is cool.
probably have fun. He's very busy with bonsai trees now.
Yeah, I've seen those videos. Him just trimming away.
That's
I mean,
neat.
it looks peaceful. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
After the
He's
years
very
of
good too. He really
madness.
developed in his hobby.
Yeah, I've seen the videos. He's pro bonsai tree trimmer.
wow.
There was like a
Does he?
botanical garden in Florida that offered him like to plan out their space.
Oh wow, that is very
I
neat.
love that. What about who else? You said Motley Crue was one of the favorites, or is that top of the list? Or who
Well,
else?
that's top of the list in that I did the best press for them because there was the most interest. Because something you learn when you do this a long time is that sometimes you can have the best publicist, but if the material isn't at the level people are looking for, then you're not going to win. So I had great material, a famous band. I mean, there's nothing more fun than that.
That's true. That's true.
But I liked working with Papa Roach. Jacoby's a cool guy, very sincere.
Yeah. They've been around a long time too and still doing great, still killing it. I think they just released a new song recently even, and it's doing really well. So that's awesome.
Yeah, and it's all like, for me, when I started working in hard rock, it was the people I liked, not the music.
Understandable.
When
to
I
some.
interviewed at Roadrunner, they said to me, so do you like metal? And I said, no. But why does it matter what I like?
Yeah, you did your job.
That
What
is-
do you think separates artists from ones who actually break through versus ones that don't?
The ones that break through, like I like to use Nickelback as an example because they were pretty exemplary when they ran their business. Each of them did a significant portion of what a record label would do. Like Mike was the retail guy. He would make sure all the stores stocked the music. Chad was the radio guy. He would call the radio stations and get them to play the songs. I mean, this was before they signed their deal.
Yeah.
But if you can have a self-contained business, you have to know what you're doing. Like, you can't just give people the tasks because if you don't know if they're doing it right, then it's not good. You really have to
Great point.
put your whole self into promotion of your band and take it really seriously. Like, you knew you wanted to get to know your fans better and you wanted them to know you. So you started this podcast.
Yeah.
There's bands that would never think to do that. You have to, I mean, and of course it's because Chris runs a label that he knows this. But, there's a lot that you can do before you hire other people to do it. Because you have to have done every job to know if the person you hire is worth it.
That's great advice.
Yeah, that really is, actually.
So before founding For the Win Media, what made you decide to go out on your own instead of staying within kind of the bigger corporations and systems?
There were a few reasons. One was because my mother became ill and moved in with me, and I take care of her. And I had to be home. So I had to be remote. And during COVID, it was fine. I was at Better Noise. I could be remote. But I figured the best way to ensure I could make a living and stay home and be here doing it was to start my own company. So, and also I liked working for labels, but I didn't like having like 25 bands, just me, and like not being able to really do for them.
Yeah, understandably. I mean, there's only so much time in the day and so much mental focus anybody could have, or to give into the projects like that. So that's usually the
priorities,
Yeah.
If you're not a priority project, then I can't give you the time.
Understandably.
Right.
It seems to be a common thing I notice with a lot of friends in the industry is it kind of comes full circle around for them to kind of start off independent DIY, make your way obviously into like the corporate side in certain ways, and then kind of circle back around to becoming independent again and just kind of having your knowledge but choice of freedom then again to like work with those projects or, pick and choose where you want to and can best suit people then at that point. So it's kind of neat to see a lot of people do that.
I think it's becoming more and more prevalent these days. You see more and more just people going independent from
that's
even
true
the
too.
labels and
just being in charge of what you want to do,
Yeah, and you can take the clients you think you can help. And
that's how I am even, honestly.
Criteria is now, like, if I don't think I can help, I'm not going to take it, regardless of the money.
Yeah.
There's certain things I know how to do, certain things I don't know how to do. And I have friends that do the things I don't know how to do. So it's good,
Right. Have you ever had to tell have you ever had to tell an artist no, just because you knew they didn't have it, or there was just like a piece missing where you're like, this is pointless, this is not going to work, I'm not taking your money, it's not going to get us anywhere?
Most of my business is repeat business, and it's mostly artists I've worked with at labels. So I haven't come across any, bands that just rando reached out to me. Like, I don't really work bands that randomly reach out to me. I have a Japanese band. They come around every year and a half. I'm working with them now because they're going to the West Coast and then to Mexico and South America. I just started doing press in Mexico and South America with a partner of mine.
Oh, wow.
So that's a
Continuing
cool,
the expansion.
recent development for me.
Very cool.
That is.
But yeah, I don't really, I don't advertise. I don't go around asking people. I just, my friends come back.
Yeah.
That just goes to show how good of a job you've been doing the last 25 years?
It's 35 now.
35.
Time flies having fun.
Yeah.
That's awesome. No, that's super cool to be doing it that long. That just goes to show people love your personality and your work, I would say.
Well, and also goes to show that I'm a glutton for punishment.
Anyone in music and entertainment. Whoo.
It just shows you love what you do.
Well, and I care. Like if I don't care about something, I'm not going to work it. Like I'm working with Apocalyptica again. I love that band. Their whole concept is something that I'm like a super fan of.
Yeah.
So I am always going to work with Apocalyptica.
That's cool.
What do you think is the biggest lie artists tell themselves about how the music industry works?
That they're the only ones that know how to do certain things. I manage bands now too, and I have this artist, and he always says, "This one's my buddy, that one's my buddy." In the music industry, you don't have friends. I mean, yeah, Kristen, you and I are friends, but like, it's different.
Right. No, it absolutely is. I mean, it's like that though, and everybody's kind of out for their self often, more so often than not, unfortunately. But there's those rare ones.
Yeah, I hate to see that stuff. I wish people just would work together more and help each other. If it doesn't hurt you, for someone else to have success.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you can only say that's my friend and they're going to help us if they really will help.
That's true though.
And there are not a lot of people that really will help. Like, actually, someone came through recently and I was floored.
No, I totally love those days and try to obviously give back as well anywhere, humanly possible to the friend, the friend. Yeah. Yeah. So
you're a good friend that way, but like, it's just random artists and they're like, "That's my boy." And I'm like, "That's not your boy." Like,
right.
Calm
They
down.
don't care. They don't care.
They don't care about you. How much of success is talent versus timing versus connections, if you had to kind of break that down?
Well, you do have to have it all. But I think quality material is number one. Like, you have to, like, I can't care more than you do. So you have to, like, and I say that to clients a lot.
True.
You have to have great material and believe in the material you created.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to, if I call you going, somebody had a band drop out and there's an interview you can do in an hour, you have to be able to say yes. That's a winner.
Yeah. Sure. Ready to step up. Yeah. Another part of that real quick too to touch on is what about, I guess, music versus imagery, because obviously they go hand in hand together. And there's depths of that to what it is. Again, referencing like an Apocalyptica, they have a whole thing, a vision, a theme versus like, I don't know, I'm just spitballing again, like Bob Dylan or somebody, random name, but like just wears jeans, t-shirt, but sings songs and stuff. I guess, where's the balance of that, of how important the image is on your side, or opinions and feedbacks just to people listening and being like, oh, that's a good song? Because that's something on a management side, label side and things, I still always have a unique balance and thought and kind of struggle with myself is you don't want to tell the artist they need to look this way, but it also almost needs like that thing to add up to the music. If it's just music and it doesn't look right or like match, I feel like it doesn't work. I don't know. What do you think about all that?
Great question.
Well, the one thing is that I hate is mystique. There is no such thing anymore in the world of the internet. Anyone can find out anything about you. So that's gone.
Yeah.
Now, the thing that I think is that's the wrong way to think about it. Like, what role does imagery play? I think the first thing you have to ask yourself is, who is my fan? And what are they looking for?
Yeah.
And once you identify that, like, there's a Hatebreed fan. You know what Hatebreed's fans are like. I worked with them at 2 different labels.
Sure.
And then there's a Apocalyptica fan. And they're different fundamentally in the way they care about the music and what they care about.
That's true.
Like, Apocalyptica, they're European, they can wear nicer clothes, and people like are down with what, like, they're more kind of gear and tech oriented. And then the Hatebreed fan is more like, I get to mosh on Saturday night.
Yeah, yeah.
And so if you can identify your fan and what they care about, then that's what's important.
Great. I see. Yeah, yeah. That's great advice. Thanks for that. That's great.
So if you could go back to your younger self and give yourself advice to, I don't want to say skip years, but just make your life easier, something you've learned to give your younger self you wish you started out doing differently, what would that kind of be?
Everything is not about you. That's what I would tell her.
Elaborate on that,
I
meaning?
like that.
It would save me a lot of heartache.
Oh,
Because, like, a lot of times people will do things and you're like, oh, they don't like me, but it has nothing to do with you.
yeah.
It's how they woke up in the morning. And, like, I think women in a large way, but people in general, are very worried what other people think about them. And I used to worry about that a lot. But I don't anymore. And I think it came with getting older. Like, I think when I turned 40, I stopped giving a shit about what anyone thought about anything.
Yeah, I feel that.
No, for sure. It's just about what makes you happy ultimately. Ultimately about what makes you happy. What's a quick piece of advice you might give to new bands today? I guess since the times have changed with something like TikTok being out and being able to reach so many people on platforms like that, do you think that's kind of the smart move to stay current on there and find ways to story tell, something like that? Or what would be some advice you might give to new up and comers?
I think you have to, it really all comes back to knowing your fan. If your fan's a teenager, then TikTok's important. If your fan is 30 and above, Facebook is still important. You know, if your fan is like 20s and 30s, Instagram is important. Like,
Yeah.
I think the medium you use has to be like, in the beginning you say, who's my fan? What do they read? What do they watch? You know, and how can I reach them there?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and then you
That's really
go
good.
for stuff like that. Because you know, if I'm a, you know, adult contemporary artist, I don't need to reach teenagers on TikTok. They're not going to like me,
Oh, yeah. That's
you
a good
know.
point.
So I know where my fans are and I go there. Like, something I did a long time ago was really funny. I did it with Hell Yeah. Vinny went bass fishing with Bass Fishing Magazine.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's cool.
I never saw that.
And I was like, I think people that fish would like Hell Yeah.
Great. Yeah. Great connection to that, though.
It's smart to think
And
outside
something
the
unique,
box.
yeah, outside of the box a little bit too. Just that lifestyle thing that's not just music all the time, though. So that's
Well, you
nice.
can't always go where everyone else is. You have to go where they're not.
I like that a lot. That's a great point. Yeah, that's
So
neat.
behind the scenes, how much of the industry do you think is real versus like manufactured perception?
Well, I mean, it's all in a way manufactured perception, but it's not as insidious as it sounds. There are a lot of facets to people, and there are certain facets that you want fans to see, and certain ones that are irrelevant to them. So you're going to position yourself to show off the aspects of your personality that are going to be most appealing to people.
That's great.
You know, like, you don't pick a name like How We Feel if you're not looking for sensitive, introspective music fans.
Yeah,
You know,
Yeah, absolutely.
I like that.
I mean, it's all to a degree manufactured, but it's manufactured in the way that you need to know what people want to know about you and then give it to them.
So it's not too much left for me, but I did want to ask, what's one move an independent artist can make right now that would actually get industry attention?
I don't know that there's one move that could definitely do it, but the thing that I manage an artist called Blacklight District, and he did a partnership with a content creator on YouTube who did Minecraft videos. And they did this whole narrative Minecraft series for music videos for him. And
Very cool.
collaborations really move the needle. If you think about it, it's like you take
Yeah.
your audience and their audience and combine them now. Now you have twice as many people. And I think
That's true.
smart collaborations, like, how we feel with heart support or, stuff like that,
Yeah.
stuff that's meaningful, that's really important. I work with Channer, AJ Channer, who used to be the singer for Fire from the Gods. And he is in recovery.
Sure.
And he wants to help people. So I went to Shatterproof, which is a huge organization that is looking to help people in recovery. And we're working with them, making videos for their new initiatives.
That's great.
And do a collaboration that makes sense for your music and your fans.
That's nice. Yeah, I like that a lot.
Super great advice.
Back in the day, we used to trade band mailing lists when they'd play together. And that's kind of collaboration in its earliest stages, like here's
Absolutely.
a band that can play with us. Oh, their fans might like us. Our fans might like them. Let's swap mailing lists.
Kind of like a show trade even too, when bands show trade, go to different markets, meet each other's fans and do that.
Yeah,
That same type
absolutely.
of vibe. Which is something I'm still into. I mean, I feel like it's grown some more, but it was a little bit of a lost thing for a while. But I feel like that's still coming back a little bit around, some show trades, sharing things like that. And like you mentioned too, the collaborative thing is really smart, especially on YouTube and things like that. I see all the time, like Starset and a bunch of different bands doing really cool mashups with like creators, gaming content, things like that. And it definitely skyrockets the audience big time there. It's really neat.
Yeah, everyone's doing collaborations that make sense for them, and there's always a way to get creative and find somebody that has an audience that might like you.
Well said.
Yeah, all great advice. Anything else from you wanted to?
I'm trying to think
Kinda
if there's
cover?
any other good questions or thoughts. I mean, I think I touched on most of the things. I guess what's a good place if people want to take a look or get in touch with you, or take a look online to find you to best reach out?
forthewin.media is my site, and there's a contact form there, and I think I get the messages. I don't.
They should come through.
My whole thing is I'm not looking, so I don't really,
Yeah.
But also I'm on social media. For the Win Media has a page on Facebook, and I'm Metal Flack on Instagram. No, Metal Flack 2, I think, because I lost the name somehow. But yeah, I mean, I want people to think in 360 around their band and around their career.
Yeah.
There's so much you can do now because the music industry is so democratized.
Right.
And, you don't, it's funny. I only put out my artists' songs on Wednesdays because I'm not trying to chart. Charting doesn't mean anything to my artists. I'm trying to narrow the competition.
Yeah.
And everyone puts out their records on a Friday. So my clients put them out on a Wednesday. I can get my press releases run better. I can, get more attention from my clients, an extra 2 days of sales.
Yeah. Have that time to storytell a little bit more before the flood comes in every Friday with everybody. I like that a lot.
Yeah, I mean,
everything
you
is so
have to just-
oversaturated. You have to. Anything you can do.
Yeah.
I think you just have to put yourself in a place where people can see you and understand you. And that's, that's the bottom line of everything. What I do is not rocket science. It's just I put my brain to it. I take the context that you give me of your music. I look through it, I understand it, and I try and understand the fans of it and what they might want to see.
Yeah, it makes total sense. Well, anything else from you?
I don't think so. I think that's anything we could think of for right now. And again, really appreciate you being on here as one of our special guests here. It means so much.
Can't thank you enough.
Well, anytime, guys. I'll come back in a few months.
Yeah, absolutely.
We'll
love to have you and love to catch up. Yeah.
Do a follow-up and talk about some more in-depth stories and all kinds of things like that. Or what we're going to try to do as well coming up is ask some more fan questions, viewer questions, things like that, or maybe gather some things that bands, have questions on or want to learn some more about. That way we can bring that kind of stuff integrated in back to the table for future. So
I wanted to add that I know people are talking about now is AI is not a competitor for things. AI is something you can use really productively to promote your band. You can write press releases with it. I've input every press release I've ever written, and now it knows my style, so I can ask it to write something in my style.
That's smart. Yeah,
it's a tool that everyone should use.
I agree.
I'm not saying write your songs with it, but it's definitely could be used as the right tool to help the project.
Replace creativity. What it can replace is like an overage of work. It can help you streamline your processes. It can give you a calendar of, the optimal times to post on different, socials. Don't be afraid of it is really my point. Like, try and use it, get it to write prompts out for you for certain things, get into routines with it.
Someone had made a joke about that I laugh about, but it was something like, oh, well, I'll drive a car if you want to stay behind with the horse and buggy, if you don't like AI type of thing. And I'm like, all right, I get it. No, it's useful if you're smart and creative with how to best save your time to, accomplish more, letting that help you.
Most musicians that are independent that I know have day jobs. They don't have all this time to sit around and research and write and all of that. Let that do the work for you. Say, we sound like X band and Y band. What kind of press have they been getting lately?
Right. Yeah. Use it to a tool for your advantage.
It's always such a hot topic. I always see people talking about it.
Yeah. Like, use it the right way and it'll make your life easier.
Great point.
Anything else you want to add or promote or talk about or... Yeah.
Channer's upcoming single. Oh my God, why can't I remember the name now that I'm on the spot?
I do that all the time myself.
Well, look at Channer, CHNNR on Spotify or Apple Music. Blacklight District is on tour. They're going all around the country. It's the IRL tour.
Awesome.
And it kicks off in a couple of weeks.
That's great.
My favorite band, and the one that I am absolutely blessed to have the opportunity to work with, is a band called All the Pretty Things, all one word, lowercase. Look them up. Their album, Prose, is absolute genius.
That's great. I remember those guys. Great band.
Great band. They're writing their second record now. I can't wait to hear it. And just don't lose your love of music. Don't let it make you so crazy and busy and stressed that you wind up not loving it anymore.
Yeah.
Great advice.
Definitely.
Awesome. Jamie, thank you again so much for being on today. We really appreciate it and can't wait to have you back again in the future here.
Yeah, it's been awesome. It was a pleasure to meet you. Thanks again. Hopefully we'll do it again soon. It's been great advice.
Nice to meet
I love
you.
it. Yeah, absolutely.
Good to see you again there, Chris.
I know, same. I was going to say I'm due to get out there. I was telling you maybe in a couple weeks here, so we'll have to get together in person and grab a drink, some
Grab
coffee,
some
or something.
coffee or something when you're here.
Yeah, I'd love that. That'd be cool. So
Nice.
All right. Well, guys, have a lovely rest of your day.
you too.
I appreciate you. Thank you.
Hey.